What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we've got a pretty big Destiny 2 update. I want to round up some new bits of information, some news about the Forsaken expansion, and we've also got some other details regarding updates and things that we'll see over the next few weeks. But on the subject of the new DLC, we're going to talk about Triumph Score, which will work kind of like Grimoire Score in D1. We've also got details about how Year 1 players will be recognized in the Triumph system. This will also link to the summer event coming to Destiny 2. But we have some words about new ammo systems and changes to the Juggler mechanic, which everyone absolutely loves. I'll talk about that in a minute. But we have new enemy details, some words about leveling system changes, speculation over the possibility that Cade 6 is no longer voiced by Nathan Fillion inside of the Forsaken DLC. We're also going to talk about download sizes and release times for the expansion, and some new updates from Bungie about things happening over the next few weeks. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about in this video, but make sure you stick around to the end. I've got details about a pretty awesome giveaway that I'll be doing with Quercus chairs. You guys will be in with a chance to win an awesome gaming chair, so like I said, stick around for that. As always though, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you do enjoy this video, a like below is super appreciated. Without further delay though, let's get into the news. So we actually have a new interview from FPSJP.net, and they got to speak with Bungie about the Forsaken expansion. Interestingly, one of their first questions was, when did you start producing Forsaken? And Scott Taylor said, certainly early in 2017. At that time, we started talking about what kinds of stories and contents we wanted to make in the autumn of this year. So Forsaken has been in development for a little while now. Of course, there is all the kind of concepting and the story stuff, the initial ideas, but Bungie obviously have been taking a lot of feedback from players about the first year of Destiny 2, and that of course takes us to the system changes and the major overhauls really that we're going to see in this expansion. On the subject of new systems though, they ask about triumphs. Is the triumph title visible to others? And is there a score system like Grimoire from Destiny 1? And Scott Taylor says yes, there is a score for triumphs. I'll talk later about how titles and achievements can be seen by others. So there will absolutely be a kind of overall score for triumphs, but we have some new details about how this will work for Year 1 players of Destiny 2. Scott Taylor says the score will be reflected at the moment that you log in. I wanted to keep the effort of people playing from the first year of Destiny 2 and recognize that in Forsaken. So that actually links to the July 17th update, which brings the Solstice of Heroes event. Alongside this event and various other additions in the game, there will be the introduction of Year 1 triumphs, and this will be limited to Bungie.net, so it won't actually be the full triumph system in the game, but this is where they will list the triumphs and the achievements that will be recognized inside of Year 2 for the first year of Destiny 2. So back in D1 we had this as well, and essentially they give you a list of all of the things they're going to recognize. Did you complete all of the raids? Have you collected all of the exotics? And various other things like that. But because those objectives are listed around about a month and a half before Forsaken actually drops, it will give players time to get that stuff completed before it becomes obsolete and you can no longer progress. But inside of the summer update on July 17th, there are exotic armor upgrades. They're adding bounties to the game. We've got prestige raid layers and a bunch of other stuff. It looks like Solstice of Heroes itself is actually going to bring meaningful gear as well and not simply cosmetics. Because Scott Taylor said in another interview, we are very comfortable saying that if you're working on faction rallies right now, or the things that are coming in the summer, that'll still totally be worth it because you'll be able to bring that stuff into the new content. And this was on the subject of infusion between Year 1 and 2, which like I said, essentially confirms that there will be meaningful gear, potentially weapons and stuff like that, inside of the Solstice of Heroes event. Next though in the interview, they spoke about ammo systems and the Juggler mechanic currently in Destiny 2, and they asked, will this still be the case with the new system? And Scott Taylor says, I'm going to talk more about the mechanism and balance of weapon slots in the summer, so I cannot say it's clear right now, but the specifications themselves will be changed. But from what they're saying, the Juggler mechanic as we know it at least is likely to be changed or removed. We do know that ammo will no longer be tied to damage types, so kinetic ammo will fill up typical kinetic primaries, but what used to be special weapons, shotguns, snipers, fusion rifles and things like that, will use green or special ammo once again. So a primary shotgun in the first slot is still going to need that green ammo even if it's a kinetic shotgun, so it's really kind of merging multiple different systems that we've had throughout Destiny's lifecycle. Next up, they say the second expansion Warmind changed how the power cap was raised and the powerful engram became important. And Scott Taylor says, I have prepared a new method, but I can't talk about it right now. Clarifies that the level will be 50 base character level and power level 600. But they go on to ask about powerful gear in the Gambit mode, and Scott Taylor says, of course, we've prepared milestones for Gambit, weapons, armor, and exotics for which the new element of triumphs is also involved. So now we know that Gambit will have its own milestones. We've also heard about daily and monthly milestones which will change, as well as milestones which will rotate every few days, not just daily or weekly, but somewhere in between. On top of this, daily heroic missions are returning, and every day they'll be able to grant you powerful or competitive gear. So essentially they're creating different ways to gain power at different intervals. But while they're talking about Gambit, Lars Bakken actually gave some bits of clarification, including that they have good plans to solve issues where players may be able to actually melt primeval bosses inside of Gambit really quickly. He adds that there is a time component to the final boss. It gets easier to kill the longer that it's out. It's a little more complex in the version you'll play in September. We're still tweaking internally, but feel confident we have a good solution. But there's a question about invading. Didn't think of this before, but can you damage your opponent's AI enemies if you invade? And Lars Bakken says nope. When you invade, you are allied with the other team's combatants, so any of the enemies in the other arena will essentially ally with you. They won't damage you, you won't be able to damage them. But in the article they ask about the Dreaming City, and we get the typical response with the exception that they add the required level will be high for various activities inside a Dreaming City. It does make sense, it is an endgame destination, but they also specified that the raid is the introduction to the Dreaming City, which is interesting because they'd also said raiders will kind of change and affect the space. So I'm wondering if the Dreaming City itself may not actually open up until like a team of Guardians clear the raid or something like that. But then they've said week over week there will be other things that change inside of this space. Steve Cotton actually gave some insights about new enemies and some of the lore there, which is interesting. So one of the barons is the Fanatic. He's the baron that can bring the fallen back to life to the Scorn. So there is kind of one elite member that's actually responsible for being able to bring fallen back to life. We'd heard before that these enemies are kind of zombie fallen. They died and then been resurrected. But Steve Cotton also said, we have never invested so much in a new group of opponents in Destiny. I'm very excited about what they bring to the universe because they change the way you fight them. The Ravager carries a sensor with a chain. His weak spot is no longer his head or his body, but this flaming sensor that he swings around. When you hit the sensor, fire flies everywhere and is surrounded by flames. We've explored the ways in which you fight against enemies differently. Some guests explode, some can no longer walk on two legs and crawl over the ground. So a few interesting insights into the enemies there. I think it's definitely true they are some of the more varied enemies that we've actually seen. Of course, the main kind of changes we've ever seen to enemies have been things like the Taken or the Devil Splicers. And while the Scorn definitely look like Fallen still, they have been reworked considerably more significantly than what we've seen previously in Destiny. So I think that's definitely a good and long overdue component. But next up, Stevivore.com posted an article questioning whether Cade 6 was actually being voiced by Nathan Fillion anymore. So Steve Wright said in the article, one thing became abundantly clear while playing the first mission, the voice of Cade 6 was not Fillion's. I stopped shooting Cabal and Hive in order to turn my full attention to Cade's voice work. After a long hard listen, the best I can figure is that Forsaken features none other than Nolan North doing his best Cade impression. He goes on to say that the voice swap was bugging me so much that I asked Deej from Bungie, and Deej says Bungie have no casting decisions to make at this time. I mean, it's not necessarily something that they're willing to announce right now. I did play through that first mission. I can't say that I noticed it at the time. I mean, I was paying attention to the dialogue, but I was also looking at a lot of other stuff that was going on inside of the space, you know? I only played through a mission once for about 10 minutes. There have been a few other folks who've also said the same thing, that it didn't actually sound like Nathan Fillion, but there are also multiple possibilities with what's going on right now. It was an early build of the game. It's possible that there has been some kind of voice work replacement. So Nathan Fillion may be doing the dialogue in the finished version of the game. The other possibility, of course, is that maybe Nathan Fillion couldn't work on it anymore, or whatever other potential interaction may have gone between Bungie and Nathan Fillion. For now though, it's going to have to be a bit of a mystery with some speculation around it until either someone says something or the game actually releases. But I'll be curious to hear your opinion on that speculation. A couple of things I wanted to round up about the download for Forsaken. According to various websites, you'll need a minimum of 104 gigabytes available as of September 2018. So it looks like that could be a rough size for the full game with Forsaken. Also, according to download websites, Forsaken will become available to play at the weekly reset time on September 4th. But some stuff which will affect vendors and faction rallies. Cosmo said, we removed direct purchase of armor from certain vendors due to restraints when adding seasonal progression rewards. The fix came too late to add direct purchase in 1.2.1, and this issue will be addressed in 1.2.3 for both Iron Banner and faction rallies. So some vendors in the game you can't actually direct purchase armor from. That should be fixed in 1.2.3, which is the July 17th update. Also, Bungie are making it very clear the security team are swinging the ban hammer against any players cheating in the game. They give a link for folks to report any suspected cheaters as well. So Bungie are getting all serious about that stuff. But given that we're essentially at the end of June right now, we're definitely going to get details about the summer event, maybe a trailer. So let me know your thoughts on any of the update stuff in the video, guys. I mentioned earlier on that I'll be doing a giveaway with Quercus chairs. So they do awesome gaming chairs right here. You can see one that they actually sent to me. You may remember it from a while ago. They do really cool custom embroidered pillows and things like that for them. Questos have kindly set up a giveaway for you guys. So if you're one of my subscribers, you have a chance to enter. You can also follow them on Twitter. It's a Gleam type giveaway, so you can do various different entries. And you'll be in with a chance to win a Questos gaming chair. You can even have your own logo or your name or something embroidered on it as well, which is really neat. So if you guys want a chance to win one of those, check out the link in the description below. I'll make sure it's in the first few lines of the description. Definitely worth checking out. They're really high quality chairs. Thanks again to those guys for sending me one over a few weeks ago. For now though, if you've enjoyed the video guys, a like is super appreciated. Like I said, let me know any thoughts of yours on the Forsaken expansion. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button to keep up to date and the bell next to the subscribe button to get those notifications. For now though, I appreciate you watching as always, and I will catch you very soon.